How's it going, everybody? It's Jordan Mapes here, and welcome back to another episode of Just Stuff. I've got my good buddy Seb, and we have our first guest of timeout. How's it going, everybody? God dang it, Seb. How's it going, everybody? It's Jordan Mapes here, and welcome back to another episode of JS. We had a very interesting last 30 seconds, but we're excited to get into the video, and I'll let my two buddies introduce themselves, starting with Seb.
Hi, I'm Seb, SNS Tier 1 champion. How's it going? And Tier 2 vice president, and we got Tier 2 president here.
Yes, of course, that would be me, Adam. And T1, not quite champion. I think I'd be like vice champion right now. But that is still to be determined.
Awesome. And glad to have you on here as our first guest officially for Just Stuff. We're going to do something a little different than we have in the first three episodes. We're going to dive into more SNS content in this episode, particularly focusing on Tier 2 and what this grid is shaped up to be. Obviously, we have the president and vice president, and, your race commentator in this episode. So we're going to just dive in Tier 2, talk about all the different drivers on the grid, and this should be a fun one to record, so I can't wait to get started.
Oh, yeah. It has really been an outstanding season so far, in my opinion. So many different people who can win championships. It's going to be exciting to watch as we continue on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be honest. When we started this thing off, I was a little bit nervous because, of course, we had to postpone it a couple of weeks. Still trying to find a full grid of guys. But once we got going, it felt a lot better. Like, we've had great participation. We've had some great battling, some different winners, different pole position guys, and it's going to be a fun championship. And we're only halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was definitely difficult getting into it. Just like weeks prior, it was gathering the right amount of people, gathering the right people, for the league that we're trying to achieve here. And I really do think that we do have a good set of guys for the group, and I'm very excited to see what they do the rest of the season and moving forward after the season, who will be in Tier 1 and little things like that.
Absolutely. I mean, the battle for the top's been super fun to watch. I mean, there's 3, 4, potentially even 5 people that still have a shot at the Drivers' Championship halfway through, so it's been great to watch. The last race was even fun to watch, so it's going to be great to get into it. The first topic of conversation is, who are our top 3 guys on the Tier 2 grid right now? Seb, do you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to not say a specific set of 3 just because of how they've kind of performed. I'm going to try and stray from that. I do think Chris has definitely been, super solid to start the season, especially he did miss the first race. So for him to kind of be up there in the championship where he is, in just 4 races, I would have to say Chris personally in my top 3. I would also have to say Shaylin has been very impressive to me. He hasn't even won a race yet, but he's just been super consistent with his performances, always finishing in the top 5. And the other person, just with how they performed, how I've raced against them pace-wise and how I know, I'll say Brandon Bestrom. I do think he has potential to win multiple races. Could have won in Portugal there. Won the sprint in Portugal, should have won in Portugal, but he did have that pit stop error. So that would personally be my 3.
Sounds good. Adam, do you have a particular 3 in mind?
Yeah, well, let me just quickly pull up the Discord, so we'll see if I end up breaking the stream. Hold on a second.
Oh, well, you're back.
No, he's good.
Okay, yeah, so I'm good. Okay, let's see. So I would have to go, first of all, just looking at the standings. I've been impressed with Thomas. He is, he's got a podium. I believe he's gotten a win or 2. And he's been up there in the fight with his teammate. I believe he's 3rd overall right now, and he's close up there. Second, I would have to go because I'm kind of going for guys who I didn't expect to be maybe up there as much, but they have really impressed me. RJ has done a great job up there, pulling the Red Bulls forward. He and Tim have been great teammates, and obviously They've been really impressing. And you know what? I will say I've seen some good promise out of Alexis. I know things got a little messy at the start with that penalty he got in at Monza, but he has definitely turned it up a little bit the last couple of weeks, kind of making his way up the standings. And I'd be curious to see how far he goes as we get into the second half of the season.
Yeah, Alexis is one of those drivers who has really been intriguing me. Even just from a personality standpoint, I love having him in the BC. That's a very big thing for me. And I do think, he could show some improvement over time. He seems very excited about the league, and that is something that I do love. And I don't hate those choices. All drivers have shown exceptional pace.
Yeah, I mean, shout out Alexis. Obviously, he had his first Tier 1 race the other night as well. He got to be my teammate for a race, so that was fun. But I want to go a little bit different with mine. Obviously, we expect Chris to be up there. He's one of, if not the fastest driver on the grid. He's been around for a while. Obviously, his own league and stuff. Phenomenal driver. But the three that have impressed me the most, Thomas has got to be one of them. He's won the last two races. He won his home Grand Prix. He's been talking to us a lot about wanting to improve and what he can do to improve his pace. He's just putting in the hours in the game, man. And he's one of those drivers that are putting an effort in this league to try to get a spot in Tier 1 next season. He's been very open about that, so that's been fun to see. Shaylin as well. I know Seb already mentioned him, but he hasn't had a race win yet. He's been super consistent, though. He's probably the most consistent driver so far. He's just been fun to watch. He's been up there battling right with the Drivers' Championship. I expect him to get a race win before the season ends. And then my third one, and I'm just going off of people that have impressed me the most, and this one's going to be one out of left field, but I'm going to say Jordan Tanner. His pace has been such improved, and it's just such a pleasant surprise to see, man. Obviously, he's been playing the game more. He's been trying to improve as well. So the fact he's been in points the last few races, he's been driving consistent. He's even outperformed his teammate in a couple races. So I've been very impressed with Jordan Tanner, and I've just wanted to add that one in there for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jordan was great in Monza. One thing I want to add about Shaylin that isn't really talked about, this is his first league. So for him to be able to kind of he's never competed before. He's just done 2-player careers with his friend, and that's what got him to his pace that he's at. So he is going to be someone who's going to be very threatening in time. I do think his pace is very fast.
That changes a lot about my thought process too, man. That means CJ has so much more room for improvement. I expect, that's crazy. I would not have expected that at all.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he gives me the vibe, I think he has a level head from just, watching how he drives. He knows when to make the right moves, how to stay out of the shit, and that's, honestly, when it's coming to full races in Tier 1, that's one of the biggest things in, competing for championships and stuff like that.
Absolutely. What is the second topic?
The second topic we had was, because we did have the first 5 races already, we are halfway into the season. We were talking about what our favorite race was in the first 5, and I do think we had a very different select style of races, especially when it comes to strategy and battling. What we've seen because of safety cars, because of rain, it has been a very interesting season. I'm curious, Adam, what are your thoughts so far on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. Different conditions, different formats, and I think that's where I'm going to lean with my favorite race so far. Obviously, also because I like my rain races, I think I'm going to go with Portugal. We had a full rain race. We had, I think, sprint quali was in dry, or it was regular quali in dry. I can't remember. And then we had the wet to dry race, which opened up strategy completely. You had guys going on inters, guys staying out on inters instead of going to soft or the mediums or softs. And it really threw some guys in for a loop. And it was some good battling throughout the field. Obviously, maybe the battle for the win was a little bit different, but it was I really enjoyed watching the guys go around Portugal, especially seeing how much they've grown race 1 to race 5.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and that is the only race where we got all 5 compounds in the weekend, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Because there was
Hey,
people
someone ran
went.
hards, right?
Yep, early on someone pit the hards. Because they were
Yeah,
the first
Nine
one to
Negate.
test. Yeah, he was the first one to test the
Yeah.
slicks. So that was cool to watch. I have a different race for an entirely different reason, but mine was Austria. And
Okay.
obviously that track opens up a lot of battling. Obviously the first stint we had a lot of battling, wasn't so much in the second stint. But my favorite part of that race was Kevin Jacobs getting his first podium. That was cool to watch. He's obviously been putting a lot of work in the league. He's been a tier 2 veteran. So yeah, seeing him finally get his first podium, that was cool to watch. And the battling in the first stint was pretty good. So I'm going with Austria.
Uh, and I love that you went Austria because that does mean we went with 3 different selections. Portugal was one of the ones I was thinking of. Just I was super intrigued by the strategy, but I did think the battling overall was a little underwhelming. But granted, you get it's a different circumstance of a race. I do appreciate those races where it is about strategy. But I personally, I was a fan of Monza. One big narrative for Monza, it took Chris finally on his 3rd season to get his first race win. That was super exciting, especially because it was his first race in the season.
Hmm.
There was the battle between Chris and RJ strategically, where they were on 2 very heavy offsetting strategies. The last turn overtake of RJ over Shaylin was super exciting, and that was just an overall exciting battle throughout the race. I thought the battling in general, like we saw a point, like I'm pretty sure drivers went 4 wide going into Parabolica in that race. So these
Yep.
guys are pretty nuts, and it was exciting to watch for that reason, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Oh, what is out of the last 5 races the most intriguing one for the rest of the season?
That's a tricky one because it's so easy to say the mystery track. However, I'm very like for Spa, honestly, like, and that's the next one upcoming. Especially with the narratives we got in the last couple of races, the championship is super close. It'll be interesting to see who's able to make it in that race, and then it's very easy to differentiate yourself in Spa and get escape DRS. So we'll see if any driver is really able to have the pace to kind of make those moves in Sector 2 to get out of DRS.
Makes sense. Adam, what is yours?
Well, I want to. You know what? That mystery one, I completely agree. But I think because, of course, the season finale is always great, and I love Brazil.
Yeah,
Brazil is such a fun track, and weather condition changes, and just the battle into Senna S. I mean, we could have a championship fight heading into the final race between 2, 3, 4 guys,
yeah,
and seeing it in Brazil, I'm fired up for it.
yeah.
That makes sense. It's
just
going to be a fun battle at the end.
just to think all the hate Eddie was given towards Brazil, but just like imagining a 4-person championship battle going into Brazil,
Hmm.
oh, it just gives you remnants of a specific season I won't spoil for Jordan. Uh,
Well, I'm going basic. I'm going the mystery race. It'll be the one
yeah,
track this season where some drivers aren't going to get, the practice on the track. They don't know what's coming up. Obviously, it's going to get chosen prior. And so it's more likely whoever's going to win that race is the one that has the most pure race pace and the most consistent. So we'll really see, who has the most skill per se, because they're not just focusing on one track for the week. And that might shake it up the grid a little bit. We might see a little bit different positioning as what we would all the other races of the season. So that's why personally I love the mystery races, because you don't know what you're going to get out of it.
Although, with only 3 tracks to choose from, there is that option of just kind of focusing on one of the 3. I guess we should probably say what the 3 tracks are, right? We've got Hungary, we've got Bahrain, or um, now was it
Texas.
Miami? Was
Texas.
it Texas?
I couldn't
Texas.
remember which one
Right.
either.
Yeah.
We really needed to label that, but anyway.
Yeah.
But like, three pretty different tracks, but so do you practice for all three of them? Do you just not practice because you don't want to get into a groove with one of them? Or do you focus heavily on, let's say you go hard on Hungary and go like, you know what, if Hungary gets picked, there's a 33% chance and I'm going to be ready for it. But then all of a sudden you're racing a Bahrain and it's like, oh God, this is completely different. So I'm very curious to see how the drivers choose which track they go for, if they're going to choose all three in practice. That's a week and a half away, but I'm excited to see. Well, at time of recording, but I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like they're all vastly different tracks as well. So it really does take very different technique, and someone might gain a drastic advantage with one track being selected over another, which will be
Hmm.
very interesting. And I do think there's certain people who will definitely sweat all three. I feel like Thomas is going to be one of those guys, honestly, from the
Probably
five
already
drivers
has his
that,
TT times in, bro. He already has them in.
yeah. But yeah, no, I'm
Oh.
very excited for the rest of the season, and I do think any of these races could be absolute classics, and we've seen many throughout the season so far. I mean, one race we didn't even talk about yet that was also fantastic that ran early in the season, Silverstone. Very exciting with the battling very early on in the race. Of course, Thomas did run away with it at the end, but we did see a few DRS trains throughout the race that did build a lot of intrigue. Um, with all that being said, though, who do you guys think will be the champion?
Ooh.
Mm.
Give me Thomas.
Ooh,
I think he puts in the most effort. I think he puts in the most work on the game. Obviously, he's young. He's excited to get into it. He's got a lot of motivation after winning, back-to-back races now. I think he's got all the confidence in the world to keep it going. So my pick would be Thomas.
what about you, Adam?
Oh God, it put me on the spot. I think I got a guy for the guy that's leading right now. Chris is doing a great job so far. The most part, I think he's had a couple races where maybe he's not been right up front, but he's got the most experience of the definitely the top four, especially in SNS. I kind of have him as my favorite. It's boring to choose the person who's leading to be the favorite, but you know what? Where he's in right now.
No, it's a good choice. Chris was almost my pick, but we're actually going different again, and I'm actually going with Shaylin on this one. Just driving against Shaylin in Japan, especially, made me realize it was like, oh, this guy's like he's got pace on him, and he's definitely got a race win in him. I think he's going to at least win one of the next five races. Will he win more than one? I don't even know if he needs to win more than one to win the championship with how this season's going, honestly. So it'll be interesting.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, they're all great picks. Obviously, we have a great battle at the top, so any one of these guys can run away with it. I think we hit on everything we wanted to talk about, but I do have one interesting thing. Seb,
Ooh, yeah.
you're the driver's champion. You're pretty much a lock for a principal spot next season, right?
Oh my.
I'm in position 2. There's a good chance that I'll get a principal spot. Adam is in P5. He obviously is a principal. Is there anyone on this grid, if you even want to disclose any information, you don't have to, that you have been looking at as a possible Seat 2 driver for next season?
It's hard to talk about because we don't know what's going to happen with the possible league change up that has kind of been a little bit gossiped about, just because of a lot of drivers kind of not going to be racing in the next season. People moving to iRacing. It is going to be. It's hard to tell who I really want. Like there are definitely drivers that I would consider. One person I absolutely love is Alexis. I'll straight up say that. Not to say that I'm guaranteed like, oh, I'm looking at to pick him up or anything like that, but that's definitely someone who I think you would want in your VCs during a race.
Absolutely, absolutely. I like that. I like Alexis. He's fun. He brought some laughs into one of the qualifying sessions, which is great to see. But yeah, he's definitely interesting. Adam, do you have any opinions on these tier 2 guys?
Ooh, um, I mean, honestly, like I'd probably say there's like 6, 7 guys out there of the new guys who I would be like, you know what, like I'm definitely be keeping an eye on them, and then obviously the vets we got as well. Um,
Yeah,
I would keep an eye on them too. Like him has been doing great this year, as we mentioned. Jordan has been doing well. Adrian, when he's been able to hop in, has been doing a great job. Um, yeah, oh man, next season is it's gonna be a tough choice. I mean, obviously, I got myself and Pete. We've been doing it a couple seasons. Um, I don't know what the future is for everyone. I'd be very curious to see how it all shakes out, and who picks who.
for sure. What about you, Jordan? Since you proposed this question, I feel like you definitely have someone you want to talk about. For some reason, I feel like it's Thomas, but I'll let you
Listen, just because
take
I've been
the.
hyping the man up doesn't mean I've been looking into him. Uh, but honestly, there's a couple of them I want. Uh, the biggest thing is I don't want someone. What's the best way to explain this? I don't want someone super quick as well. I kind of want to see, parity across all the teams in the league going in the next season. So I want, I'm focusing more on someone who's going to be great, in communications, in the VCs and stuff. They're going to keep a calm, collected head regardless of what's going on in the race and be able to engineer when they can. Things like that. That is more what I'm looking forward to rather than just pure race pace. So obviously we mentioned Alexis, he's a great one. Another dude I really like is Tim Liston. If he's able to actually be consistent, show up to the races when he's able to, he would definitely be a good one. He's definitely fun to watch too. And even either
Oh,
one of those Alpines, I mean, they're getting better every day. They're obviously not the quickest drivers on track, but you see improvements from them. They're both fun to talk to in VCs and stuff too. So it'll be interesting. There's still a long way to go in Tier 2, and even a longer way until the next Tier 1 season. But there's a lot of good faces out there to keep an eye on.
yeah, and it is super hard to kind of talk about at the moment, just because I don't think really any moves are going to be made until the 10 principles are decided upon.
Absolutely.
Uh, Based on whatever happens this off season, we don't know. So it is really hard to just like approach someone and be like, "Yo, do you want to team with me?" Because you don't know if they're going to be even a principal. If you're going to be a principal, we really just don't know anything.
Hmm.
And of course the new game as well,
Yeah,
F125. I mean, it seems like there's some promise out of it, with a couple of features. I think that having reverse races will be such a fun option.
That's
oh
so
yeah,
good. What an amazing feature.
Now, one of the YouTube channels I was watching had pointed out that they've only shown 3 tracks. So will EA make the move and just stick with those 3 tracks as the only 3 reverse races, or will they open it up to every one of them?
yeah,
But and then of course it comes down to servers too, right? We've had a couple guys in T1, some guys in T2 who've had problems getting into the server because EA. Um, and I'm hoping that they've improved for the next game, and I think that will play a big factor in who comes back, maybe who takes their place. But regardless, I'm excited to see how the end of this season goes and how it plays out heading into the next T1 and T2 season.
oh yeah, for sure. And I also feel like there's going to be some T1 people who said they're not going to drive anymore, and if they do like this game, they'll be like, you know what, I don't see Painter doing it, but I could see Painter being one of those guys if the game's good enough. Some other guys too. So it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard everything about people talking about the handling model in this game. I personally think I don't have any issues with it, but everyone who's spoken about F125 that I've personally spoken to have said that the handling model is better. It feels better on wheel, so it might just be enough to bring some people back in. So it'll be interesting to see what the Tier 1 grid looks like next season.
For sure.
But I think that is everything, fellas. Does anyone have anything to add on? Anything about what we spoke about today?
I appreciate everyone who's kind of been involved with the league, especially with how The people who stuck around with T1 and played out the rest of the season, all the T2 guys that did show up in the T1 race, especially, we loved having you. T2 itself, it's been fantastic. I mean, I've appreciated all the racing and the commitment from these guys. So, yeah, I just want to overall thank everyone who's been a part of this and who has made all this happen.
Yeah, and I'll give a shout out to a couple of folks. One, Paulie, thank you for choosing me to be kind of the next T2 guy. I've gained a whole level of respect for you on managing league and bringing in new guys and some of the challenges and making that grid work. But um, I'm really glad that you chose me to be the guy to run T2, and also to Seb, thank you for all the help you give me the first heading into the season and through the season. It's been great working with you so far, um, and yeah, I'm excited to see how the rest of season 3 plays out beyond.
Yeah, man, I couldn't choose a better person to work with, honestly, with this league. So I appreciate having you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, but Adam, we appreciate having you on. It's definitely been fun. I'm glad that we got a guest in this episode, and appreciate you being the first one to jump on in here. Definitely a fun
Yeah,
podcast episode.
yeah. Thank you for inviting me, guys.
Hi,
Yeah, for
everyone,
sure.
and everyone else. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Just Stuff. We'll be back next week with another one. We will talk to you all later. Peace.
Peace.